Oh, awkward. So
Oh,
Jacob
my
not
God.
supposed to be here tonight, and we replaced him, and then he showed up.
Yeah, so we'll see
weird
how
that
that
we're
goes.
live and yet the replacement hasn't arrived yet.
Oh,
Well,
very
I
awkward.
just sent out the invite here like 1 second ago.
All right, we can do a little four-way action.
Yeah, that's cool with me. I'm down for it.
Uh,
We'll see when
my
it comes
thought
in,
is
'cause-
like, for the record, like when I said that I feel like shit, I absolutely do, and currently do. But I was thinking about the summer of work that I have ahead, and I was like, yeah, there's definitely going to be 2 to 3 weeks where I'm going to have to send like a 1 p.m. sorry, I can't do the show tonight text. I was like, do I really want to waste one here? And I decided that my health wasn't enough of a priority to waste one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I was on with COVID, right?
I do not have COVID.
Well, and then I mean, I don't know if you guys saw this, but monkeypox has made an appearance in
What is it?
Massachusetts. Monkeypox? How have you guys not heard of monkeypox?
Yeah, I can't comment on that one.
It's got about a 10% mortality rate compared to COVID, which had a 0.5 mortality rate. Is that about right, Jacob? You're a smart guy, right?
I've
Is
heard,
it
I've
spreading
heard
as
from some
fast,
sources
though?
that it's just like a cold.
Oh yeah, and monkeypox also, like, it's beautiful because it gets these, like, you get these awful, because it's a pox, so you get these awful blisters on you. So not only are you dying, you look like shit. You know what I mean? Which is probably the bigger problem. Hey, you want to let
Shane,
FF,
how would you even tell if you have it?
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah, because like Chase and I are so handsome that you'd notice the difference right away. But if you got some sort of pox,
no, it probably
the chef's
improved my
on.
looks.
Yeah, we brought the chef in.
What
Nice.
up,
What's cooking?
chef?
What's cooking?
Hey, Jacob,
Well,
what
I'm eating some
happened?
pasta right now.
What happened to Al Horford? Jacob?
Hopefully not monkeypox. But he's in the health and safety protocols.
Is he
Unfortunately,
still playing?
Yeah, he is, dude. He had like 30 points in the last series one game.
How old is he? About 39?
He's 36.
Jesus Christ. Put him down. He's too old.
All right, you guys ready to kick this show off? We ready? We ready to do this?
So I just want to say,
What are
one
we
thing,
talking
though.
about?
I was on a show last night, right? And,
Fantasy football.
Someone said that I'm very less agitated without an annoying Canadian around.
That makes perfect sense.
Chase agitates you like way more. Like,
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Shane Manila, Jacob Sanderson, and Chase Vernon.
Oh my, here we go. We have another episode. We're ready to rock and roll. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into Fantasy Intervention. We have a special guest in with us tonight. Before I get to him, I do want to say welcome on in Shane. You can find him at Shane is the worst, and welcome on in Jacob at FF_RTDB. Make sure you guys are watching on Twitter. You guys over to YouTube, of course, because we cannot see your Twitter comments. Sorry, Cooter Doodle, about last week. But yes, go switch over to YouTube, youtube.com/fantasy intervention. The link is in the description of the show over there on Twitter. And yeah, leave us a comment, leave us a review. Make sure you subscribe and welcome on in fantasy football discussion. Excited to be with you guys. So, drum roll, please. I'm pretty sure Shane hits the best drum roll in the business. Shane, you're not going to
I've ever done a drum roll?
Drum roll? You're like a professional drum roller?
You did it for Heath Cummings. I get to listen to it every time I go into our YouTube page because that's how
you're a
you
professional log roller.
I got to be honest with you. I might have been really high on heroin that night because I didn't remember that at all.
Until you added the heroin part, I actually believed you.
About not remembering?
No, well, I certainly would believe you about not remembering. I just was like, yeah, Shane could have been high. But then when you added the heroin, like I don't know that you dabble in those dark arts. But.
How about a drunk stagger into a Canton, Ohio hotel room
Well,
Does that
you
work
can
as
do.
a drum
I
roll?
think that you can do.
There you go. So I was
Because
telling,
I'm used to that from Shane.
That's just
I was
the
telling
Shane roll
Chase,
as he rolls
I was
into the
telling
hotel room.
Chase before you jumped on that I broke you into the community.
He said he broke you
You
because y'all
broke me into the community.
You broke
all
it in.
slept in the same bed together.
It was like a fantasy gang.
You know, I mean, it was a gang. That's part of what happened. We'll keep the DHH happy hour tales of what happened in the hotel room. Look, it's like college. What happened
Always
there
happy.
happens there. You know, you keep it there.
Yeah,
Concerned.
so I will let you guys know if you guys are listening to sweet, sweet dulcet tones over there. Those are coming from James. Find him on Twitter at FF_chef. Excuse me, I butchered that one. At
That's all good.
FF_chef over there. He's part of Dynasty Happy Hour, and he's going to help us out with a little conversation today. We're going to be talking about how some of these rookies are going to be affecting the veterans over there for their teams. We have certain situations where you have like Dyami Brown, right, going in the third round, and everybody freaks out about Terry McLaurin and worried about his target premium, and that had no effect whatsoever. It might have even helped out Terry McLaurin to an extent. Meanwhile, you have
I don't think it helped anyone. It certainly didn't help my tactical squads.
well, yeah, no.
Yeah,
And then
Dyami
you have-
Brown helped nobody.
Didn't help that
at all.
2021 draft capital at all.
No.
Then you also have like situations like Jamar Chase, right, where he didn't help out
helped.
Tee Higgins, but I don't think he hurt him. Okay, that's debatable.
Oh,
To
I'm
an
gonna
extent.
say he
he
definitely
helped
didn't hurt
fantasy
him.
rosters. That's
It
for
definitely
sure.
helped him.
No, he definitely did not hurt him whatsoever. But then you have ones where it completely kills everybody else on the team. Like we saw with Devonta Smith and the fact that Jalen Hurts never passed the ball, and if he did,
Right,
it was
but
going to
that's
Devonta Smith.
because the other guys in the team suck.
Yeah, pretty
Right,
much.
like Jalen Reagor sucks. Quez Watkins sucks. JJ
First
Arcega
year
Whiteside is the
Sirianni
worst football
as
player
well.
that's ever played football.
JJ Arcega-Whiteside is going to be an excellent tight end.
Yeah, he's transitioned over to tight end. Didn't you hear? This could be a good thing. That could be the only thing that Devonta Smith actually helped him out with. But going into it,
To realize his calling.
before we get started the episode, I got a trade offer about 5 minutes ago from Husker over there in our fantasy intervention league.
Ooh, do
And
tell.
He thinks that he can get Brevin Jordan off me. He sent over Mecole Hardman for
Husker,
Brevin
why do you
Jordan.
think that you can ever get some mediocre player who will never be anything off Chase's roster? That's gonna cost you an arm and a leg, dude.
Especially a tight end. On top of all that, especially tight end. Because I'm rostering like Harrison Bryant. I'm rostering Brevin Jordan, Adam Troutman. I mean, one of these guys got to break out eventually.
Well,
but
Brevin would be the one. But what did he
Yeah.
offer you? Offered you fucking Mecole Hardman. Who else?
that's it. That is it.
Oh, well, no
So-
one's taking Mecole Hardman.
No,
I
would not
tried to
take
offer.
Mahomes.
This is how bad it is for Mecole Hardman. The other day, I offered the 3.9 and Mecole Hardman to move up to the 3.8, and it got rejected.
They said that's negative value on your team. You give me a roster clog that I got to hold on to.
Yeah,
for
there
2
was
years.
one. The only running back left that I wanted was Keontae Ingram. I had the 3.9. I was worried the guy was going to take him at 3.8, so I offered him 3.9 and Mecole Hardman to move up one spot. I said, "Sorry, can't do that." And he
So,
took Ingram.
so you're not liking my chances that I just offered Mecole Hardman for the 304 straight up. You don't think that's going to work out
I
for
think
me?
if you even had the 305, it might get rejected.
I wouldn't trade for him, with that value. I mean, Mecole Hardman's somebody that I view as a roster clog moving forward. It's somebody that you don't want on your team because you feel like he could end up breaking out at any moment, but the reality is he's not going to break out. So if you
Right,
sit there and you
here's
got to
what I
hold on
do.
to him, it takes up a roster spot.
Here, I have this roster that is total roster clog central because I had traded for all these picks. Like I had totally blown up the team. A bunch of picks 22, bunch of picks 23. And I taken a dart at just a million guys because I basically sold all my good players and I was just left with all these roster spots. So I had all these shitty players. And I looked at them like, oh my God, like Mecole Hardman, Devin Duvernay, Tylan Wallace, Dyami Brown. Like, what are these guys doing? And literally, I just posted in the group chat. I was like, at all. I was like, we'll give to the first offer that comes in, regardless of compensation. Please send. And I gave it 48 hours, and I sold a couple for some fourths, and then the rest I literally just dropped and picked up UDFA running backs. I was like, that's it. We're not doing this anymore. Tylan, you're off the team.
So, what would it take for you guys to move on from Brevin Jordan? I mean, I don't know if either one of or any three of y'all are fans, but I mean, I like Brevin Jordan a lot. I think that he's.
I'm
How
a
did
fan
we
of
end up
Brevin
here
Jordan.
at Brevin Jordan already? Like we're just descending into those depths already.
we're just
the
getting.
depths, dude. These are the
Still
heights.
have to get to it.
Jesus.
I
Still
love
have
Brevin
Donovan-
Jordan, man.
Oh, you know what I did today in 2 leagues? I dropped Donovan Peoples fucking Jones. That's who I
No,
dropped in 2 fucking leagues
no.
today, and it felt so good.
Shane, I didn't say it. He said it.
It's roster clear out SZN, where I look at all my wide receivers and I'm like, I don't want these guys. I want to roster Kennedy Brooks and Abram Smith and Julius Chestnut instead. And I hate to say that every Donovan Peoples-Jones share that I have is no longer with me. Quez Watkins, you're getting cleaned out. Marquez Callaway,
Quez got
you're off the
cleaned out.
team. All these guys, all these wind sprinters, it's over for them. They're on the free agent pile.
I agree with the last two because their future is dark. But Donovan Peoples-Jones just got
What?
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, but he's bad.
Very
I
bad.
beg to.
No,
I
don't
Baker
think we saw
Mayfield
his
is bad
full
at passing outside the
potential.
numbers.
Yeah.
He was 94th in target.
Shane
rate.
is hating everything.
Nine-
So I want you guys to have a great night. Let's talk about some players that matter. Let's not talk
All right.
about wide
I
receiver
think he could be
fives
the
and
Will
tight end
Fuller.
sevens.
The
He could
audience
be the
wants to hear
Will
about
Fuller
this.
Will
to-
Fuller got targets.
Look at
Deshaun
what Dave is
Watson.
saying. Dave lives in the depths of the
Oh
fantasy
my
football
God.
world.
I think on the outside he needs to run a real route for Deshaun Watson to spread the field. They have Amari Cooper to run the crossing routes or the corner routes in the back of the end zone. I think it works. Who else
Yeah.
do they
when,
have?
When are you starting him?
You're gonna
though?
say
Like, when are
David
you
Bell?
starting him?
David Bell raw?
Yeah, David Bell. At
DFS.
least David Bell gets targets. Like, sure, if you want to play DPJ at 3K and DFS as your second part of your double stack, go for it. I will do that. Him or Schwartz, whichever one ends up running the love of the game routes. But in
All
terms
right.
of fantasy football, like it's MVS. What's an MVS doing on your roster?
So Shane is right. We do actually have to talk about real football and players that matter.
Sad.
And let's start out with the player that's probably the most affected more than any other player from the 2022 draft when it comes to the skill position players. And dude, Michael Carter, man. Michael Carter right now is in a shitty situation. But is he dead? Like, is he actually like somebody that you cannot roster, that you just want to get off? Like, you would dump him for a late second, early third rounder?
Okay, well,
No.
those are very different things. You went in a
like
lot of different
late
directions.
second, yeah. Like, are you
First-
equating a late second to being worthless? Because those are very two different values.
So
you-
third round
you
picks
first
hit
said,
on
is he dead?
below a 10% rate.
The third round, the hit rate isn't what matters with third round picks because you shouldn't be making
flip
those
rate.
picks. You should be using to trade those. If you're picking third round draft picks, you're a loser, and so is your family. But Michael Carter, who I don't like, is a cautionary tale. You shouldn't be holding on to running backs that were drafted in the 4th or 5th round and going, no, I think he could be really good. You don't understand. He was really good last year. Like, dude, he's just going to get Thanos. Like, that's what happens.
Michael Carter, you went in so many different directions. First, you were like, is he dead? And I was going to be like, yes. Then you were like, do you still want him on your roster? I was like, well, yeah.
He's a running back.
And then you were like, should you just dump him for? And I was going to be like, no, not. I thought you were going to say a 4th or a 5th. And then you said a late second. And yes, you should. Here, I like late seconds and early thirds, unlike Shane, because of the Josh Kelly corollary. If you're a running back,
who?
the Josh Kelly corollary. Josh Kelly is the worst running back in the history of the universe. I'm pretty sure, and he was
so
regularly
good.
traded. No,
For like 2
he
games.
was regularly traded for second round picks after like week 3, just because he like played some snaps and touched the football a few times. And then Eckler got hurt, and everyone's like, "It's Josh Kelly's season," and you can trade those guys. Like, so
Well,
Michael Carter, no, I would rather have a late second because there's people that might have a little bit more excitement. But in terms of the third, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to draft Brian Robinson. You're going to draft Keontae Ingram. You're going to draft one of several other guys who's a backup running back, just like Michael Carter. So, sure, keep Michael Carter. Why not?
So, James, is there any chance that Michael Carter actually carves out a role and retains his value throughout the first year? Or do you think he loses value from this point on? Like, is there a chance?
I think he already lost value. He lost value on draft day.
Yeah, but from
That's-
here on out.
from here on
do you want
out-
to try and hold him and see, hope that something
He's
happens,
the-
or would you
he's
move
the
on from him right
handcuff.
now?
I think he's the handcuff. I think he showed enough last year that he can hold on to some kind of value. And if you want to play that waiting game, if you have that roster space, it's not some guy that I would just bet on flipping, I mean, who are we getting in the second round that you'd rather have over Michael Carter? Like, let's be realistic about that. I mean, are we talking like a Dameon Pierce? Are we talking like Rashad White?
Yes.
Oh, by a mile.
Yeah. Rashad White,
So I would take
Dameon
both
Pierce,
of them. I like Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
I would take Pierce for sure over Carter because
Pierce
could lead his team in touches this year. Without
I'm taking
Carter.
I'm taking Wandale Robinson, if you like.
Oh, absolutely. I'm taking
Wandale. He's Italian.
Yeah, Wandale.
I'm taking all of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
All the round 3 quarterbacks, not Sam Howell, but the round 3.
Are we saying single QB in this? Are we? Is that what we're talking about here?
Oh no, super flex.
No,
single quarterback. Then I don't want to even roster those quarterbacks.
I don't even want to talk to people that are playing single quarterback.
Thank you.
I would
guys
take
hear
Carter,
about the super duper flex yet?
I would put Carter in the same category that I'd put the tier of running backs. It's like Brian Robinson, Tyler Algier, Tyrion Davis-Price, Zamir White, like those guys.
I don't know if I like him over Tyler Algier. Just, I mean, skill level wise. That's where I might have to cross the line because Michael Carter's college production, we can't sleep on that. He is a good running back. He just, that's the kind of system that he got stuck in.
Now you have to hold on to Michael Carter if he's on your roster in case of a Breece Hall injury. Because if Breece Hall were to go out, then Michael Carter is suddenly worth maybe not a 2023 first because those are untouchable.
Right.
But if you say Breece Hall, knock on wood, this doesn't happen, goes down in week 3, and we know it's Michael Carter's job for the next however many weeks are left after that.
You're looking at James Robinson situation.
Yeah, well, he's going to do the Darrell Henderson thing, right?
He got
Thanos, and then he may reemerge if someone gets injured.
Yeah.
Who's to say that they both don't get touches and Michael Carter gets them around the goal line?
I don't think
or on third down.
You don't draft a running back that weighs 20 more pounds to use the little man around the goal line.
So let's go ahead and move on.
I can see him being a third down guy. Like he could be Naeem Hines.
Well, that's what I was thinking too.
Cool.
He gets, that's what 30% of snaps.
Yeah, and what happened to
Naeem
Hines?
I don't think goal line is possible.
So do you think if he ends up getting 30% of snaps, actually, instead of moving on, do you think if he gets 30% of snaps, that his value actually increases from here or decreases? Because I feel like right now everybody's just assuming that he's dead. Like everybody's thinking that he's not even going to get any touches.
Why would I rather have Michael Carter than Tyrion Davis-Price, right? Like Tyrion Davis-Price is better draft capital. He is actually a size of a running back who can maintain a workload. He's in a better offense. And both of them are reliant on someone else getting hurt.
And more names.
So same situation, but a little bit more upside and more youth when it comes to that situation because less tread on the tire.
I don't like Carter, but definitely hold him on your roster. Definitely, you're not letting.
Yeah, I don't know. I would try to find somebody else I could trade for that second rounder.
All right,
if I could get a second, I'm doing it, but I have no one's going to go be like, oh well, here's 2/3 because he's a backup now, and I'll go well. Most of the running backs on my roster are backups. Have you not seen how I've constructed my team?
Hey, I'll take 2/3 over Carter because that's 2 backup running backs instead of 1 backup running back.
Deal.
If I have the roster space, yeah, sure.
Right, like if I can have Brian Robinson and Hassan Haskins, I'll take that over Michael Carter.
All right, who's next up on the agenda?
Let's move on.
Another running back getting hurt. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Kenneth Walker and how he could end up affecting Rashad Penny. We don't even know what's happening with Chris Carson. I don't know if Chris Carson ever plays again, to be honest. I don't think that he does. It could end up being Kenneth Walker's backfield completely this year, but is Rashad Penny still somebody that you might want to grab for, late second, early third if you can grab him, or do you want to move on from that point past? What are the thoughts? Because I feel like with Rashad Penny on a 1-year contract, he could end up moving on to a different team and possibly getting some primary work. Shane's shaking his head. Let's start out with you.
Well, how old is Rashad Penny, first of all?
26. Like 30?
26. What's the age cliff for running backs?
26.
But if you don't play before you're 25,
it doesn't matter. You know who beats the age cliff? Elite running backs that were elite prior to that age. Rashad Penny, although his 6-game stretch last year was stupendous,
RYOE
or running backs that don't get the touches when they're young. Somebody like Raheem Mostert.
No, still false. Raheem Mostert, I would definitely not categorize someone that is produced. He's produced in like 4 weeks out of a season.
But his value still increased for
nothing to probably.
Well, I mean, before the age cliff, Raheem Mostert primarily played special teams, so his value definitely increased.
He primarily
dealt with
played
injuries and
taxi
stuff.
squad. I mean, because he was cut everywhere he went.
Yeah, he went everywhere. Yeah, cut, or he ended up getting like some sort of like hurt designation, some sort of injury designation, and then he ended up performing well later on in his career, and you could move him for an early second in some cases because some people still believed. So is Rashad Penny somebody that could end up filling that role? I mean, Jacob, what are you taking? Are you taking a chance on Rashad Penny, or are you just passing regardless of the price?
No, it's kind of the same as the discussion. I think that he has a better chance of maintaining his role than Michael Carter did of maintaining his, because I think Penny is better than Michael Carter. So I would probably hold Penny for now, just because I wouldn't be surprised if Penny opens the season as the starter. Seattle's kind of weird. They do weird things. They're a meritocracy.
Do a lot of weird things.
They don't necessarily care as much about draft capital as other teams. I think that it'll be Walker's job. Maybe it'll be a 60-40, maybe it'll be a 70-30. I don't know what the split will be. I think Walker will be the lead back by the end of the year. I could see Penny giving some startable weeks for the first month of the year. And I mean, if someone wants to give me like a mid-second round pick for Penny, please hand it to me. But in terms of what I'm going to get for Penny, which is probably an early third, I'm probably just going to hold him. I think he'll be startable for a month of the season. Maybe he's worth more in a trade then. And if not, then it's the same as we just said. He's another high upside, running back backup. And I want to buy all these guys when they're cheap. Like all these guys like Penny and Carter and Singletary, who were, propped up when people thought they might get volume. Not a big fan of rostering those guys in that instance. But now that they're all backups, yeah, I want my entire bench to be backup running backs. So sure, I'll roster Rashad Penny.
And Chef, how you feeling about Rashad Penny right now?
I was thinking about it, and then I'm looking at what they did last year as far as a split. When Rashad Penny was in there, Alex Collins, Chris Carson, like they shared it. I think there's room to exist, like to see if there's a full run game, because let's face it, Drew Lock is not a quarterback. All right, so they're
I don't know, man. He had like 35 yards and 2 touchdowns in his last game rushing.
I think we see something like a Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams timeshare. I think it's going to be really close, especially if Walker can pick up the system as fast as I think he can.
All right, so let's move on to the wide receiver. It looks like the wide receiver one in this class. I mean, Drake London is pulling away up until like his job was just taken, essentially. I mean, Brian Edwards just got to town, and now Drake London's dead. So what are we feeling about Drake London from here on out? We'll start out with you this time, Chef.
Please.
Let him die. Let him die. I have a couple more drafts to go. I will happily take him at 105 if you want to let him fall there. That's fine.
I am disappointed that the fantasy industry, after I don't even know what happened actually. I felt very alone on this.
Did I take a
Drake
nap
London.
and that changed? Is that what happened?
Sorry. So I felt like I was so alone on this Drake London wide receiver one hill. Like I thought I was in like the 20%. I remember we were doing these shows and everyone that would come on, I felt like I was the only person on the show that had Drake London wide receiver one. I don't really know what happened. He went first. Everybody else went directly after him. I don't think that his landing spot is like obviously better or worse than anybody else's. I don't know when he became the 102. It's really fucking annoying. I keep drafting at the 104. All the picks about were going to be Drake London. I'm picking skinny guys from New York and Treylin Burks who can't get through a practice without huffing for air. So yeah, it's annoying. I feel disrespected. I feel as though I was gaslit by the community, and I still feel as though Drake London is an absolute stud.
I agree with the Drake London for sure. I was on him, big guy, and I don't know why you took Treylin Burks. I'm sorry.
Well, I would never take him over Drake London, but absolutely I'll take Treylin Burks at the 1-4.
The 1-4?
I'm not taking Kenneth Walker with a 10-foot pole, that's for sure. So I'm either going to take Burks or London. The 1.
I mean, that pole's curved over
Burks
though, grabbing his chest, right?
Yeah, I like Burks. I don't like Burks as much as London, but I like Burks a lot. Fantastic production profile, first round draft capital. Him, London, Wilson. I have on a bunch of teams, but it is frustrating to me that I actually end up with more Burks and Wilson right now than I do London, just by virtue of having more 1-4s, 1-5s, 1-3s than I do 1-2s. And London's pretty much always going at the 1-2. I know the boomers, the Facebook users are drafting Kenneth Walker at 1-2, but not in my leagues.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
They are. Kenneth Walker's going in a ton of 1 or 2s on Facebook leagues.
102.
Shane, is Is Brian Edwards just there to ruin all of the opportunity?
They brought Brian Edwards there so Drake London could look fast. That's the only reason.
Did you guys see the starting lineup size? I did a tweet about it the other day.
Very big. Auden Tate's there too, right? So they probably average
it's like
6'4", 220.
6'6" for Kyle Pitts, and then 6'5" for Drake London, and then 6'4" for Auden Tate, 6'3" for
the starting lineup of the Atlanta Falcons wide receivers is now taller than the Atlanta Hawks starting lineup.
Yes, it is, dude. It looks like the Atlanta Hawks lineup.
There's a reason NFL teams don't roll out wide receiver sets of 6'4", 220 pound, 4'4", 4'6", 40-yard dash guys, because I can cover them. They're like, dude, just stick a linebacker on them. We're fine.
It's fine though, because Marcus Mariota is known for his ability to throw it up at contested wide receivers.
Yeah, there's literally Brian Edwards isn't worth talking about. He had a horrible rookie season, terrible second year. I don't even know how many years he's played at this point now. Was it only 2? Because it feels longer.
It was only 2.
It was only 2. All right, it's early enough to write him off. You can just forget about it.
It was like 1.5.
Yeah, he's done.
Sorry, I had a very loud motorcycle outside, so I wanted to be muted for that. So let's move on to Garrett Wilson, because Elijah Moore is a pretty big topic right now. Like Moore is going for pennies to an extent, and I don't really understand that because they play 2 different positions. The Jets, sure, they want to run, but I still think they're going to have to pass. Like they're going to be forced to pass for at least a year or 2. I know that they did improve their defense significantly, but it's not there yet. They were one of the worst defensive units in the league last year. Elijah Moore is going to get work in, right? Like we should. Discounting Elijah Moore as much as he is getting discounted currently is overrated. Now I feel like he's underrated. Jacob, where are you going at this point?
On Elijah Moore?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to buy him, but the public sentiment en masse does not apply to his owners from my experience. So like every time that I've tried to take advantage of his rapidly falling keep trade cut price, I go to one of his managers and I say, "Hi, I'd like to inquire about Sir Elijah of the House Moore, first of his name." And then they usually say, "Please fuck off." And that's how the negotiations have gone. So I've traded for, I think, like 1 Elijah Moore. I can't even remember exactly what the deal was. I gave I gave a couple firsts, then I got a bunch of other picks back, and it was like a whole like draft day trade around the board thing. But yeah, I still like Elijah Moore a ton. I'll say this may be a controversial take. I actually think Elijah Moore should be the second highest ranked wide receiver from the 2021 rookie class in Dynasty right now. Because if you look at like the per route data, him, Waddle, and Smith were all actually very similar. It's just that Elijah Moore started out not as a full-time player, then ends up on injury. Smith's team didn't pass the ball, whereas Waddle was a full-time player, more throughout the season. His team passed at a really high rate. I would not expect that to be the case this year. I would expect, if anything, the Jets probably to pass the most of these 3 teams, or maybe they all pass about the same. And then you look at who their teams added. The other 2 teams added actual bona fide star wide receivers. The Jets added a box, right? Garrett Wilson, I love as a prospect. I think he's probably really good. Even if he becomes a superstar, he's not going to be A.J. Brown or Tyreek Hill this year, certainly most likely. And, maybe he totally busts. That's at least like in the range of outcomes, where it's not at all in the range of outcomes for a Tyreek Hill or an A.J. Brown. So I think Elijah Moore should still be like a borderline top 15 dynasty wide receiver in my view. And honestly, I would only take Chase over him from the 2021 class right at the moment.
Wow, that's actually super intriguing. I know that there was one piece, I believe it was between injuries, where there was like a 6-game span, or maybe it was 4 games, where he was wide receiver 1 in points per game. So, love to see that again. Shane, where are you heading with Elijah Moore?
I'm not going out of my way to acquire him, but also I'm not moving him because it's at a depressed price. So why would I move him? Last year we did this with Chase and Tee Higgins, right? And I'm not saying that Zach Wilson is as good as Joe Burrow, but there are teams that have had top 12 wide receivers on the roster. There's many teams that have had multiple top 24 wide receivers on their roster. So I'm not overly concerned. It caps what I thought his upside was going to be, because, I looked at him as someone that I thought could be the next AB, which is always fun since we like to compare everyone to him still. But he's someone that I thought could probably be a high-end wide receiver 1. Now I'm looking more like maybe mid-tier wide receiver 2. Maybe he'll spike as a high wide receiver 2, which is fine. It's fine. It still gets you a little horny, but not as horny as you would have been. But I'll take it.
So Husker actually brings up a good point. So I'm going to go to James.
I will give you first for Elijah any day. I will give the 1-5 or later for Elijah Moore.
How about a 23 first for Elijah, Jacob?
No, I better get some stuff coming back my way. Well, no, I would give. So if I have a team that I am like 100% confident will make the playoffs, I will give a 23 first for Elijah Moore. Yeah, because I don't think he's going to be substantially worse than like the second tier of wide receivers in that class, and I get the points now.
So I actually got it's in a 2-quarterback league, not a super flex, 2-quarterback league, and I only had 2 quarterbacks, so I needed a third quarterback. I got Daniel Jones, Davis Mills, and 2 second-round picks, one in 2022, one in 2023. I flipped Davis Mills and a 2023 second for what I think is going to be a 2023 early first. So I ended up flipping that. So I got a 2023 first, Daniel Jones, and a 2022 second. James, this is going to you. Grade that trade.
I mean, you got so much value back. So you're breaking it down. Like, how many picks did you get out of there? I
ended up getting 2. So I got the 2023 first, 2022 second, and the Daniel Jones acquisition because I needed a backup quarterback.
What did you filled the need? Just Elijah?
Just for Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore and like a third or something.
Oh, smash.
That's a smash. But it took some work to get it done. There was multiple pieces to work around it. So you got lucky there. You could have gotten stuck, and then you've been like, but the fact that you turn it into some early first, I mean, that's a good trade right there. Anytime you can capitalize like that off of one player and turning it into 2 higher picks, I mean, that's the way to do it.
What would have taken you? Like, would you have done the first round pick? Would you have done the first round plus Daniel Jones for Elijah Moore, or is that?
I think that's a little too much. If it's a 2 QB league, I think that would be too much. A quarterback and a first rounder. If you want to do maybe a quarterback and a mid to late second, that might be a little bit more even, filling the need and getting another player back.
To me, it depends so much on what the first looks like, and I get that it's the off season, so. Like it's you never want to be saying like this is an early first, this is a late first. Like people that think they're first or late can definitely be early in a hurry, but you can appraise to some extent for sure. Like
right.
It's definitely a thing where it depends. Like if you're getting into the positions of scarcity, right? Like Elijah Moore for a pick that can get into that top 3, top 4 range, and all of a sudden you've converted a wide receiver who is probably. Most likely a high-end wide receiver 2 for a potential out of the gate RB1. Like that's a smash. You don't need anything else added if you have a decent enough shot at getting Bijan or Gibbs or somebody like that for sure.
Jacob Jacob brings up a great point. I mean, we had the fantasy intervention draft and I traded away the majority of my picks because I was going to build towards 2023. I was going to try and get as many of those picks as possible. And it turns out that I won the whole freaking league. So I got this trophy, right? From Trophy Smack. This thing is massive. It might be taller than I am. And you guys can actually go check this out over there. TrophySmack.com. If you use promo code CIRCLE. Oh, God, this thing is massive. If you use promo code CIRCLE, you can actually get a free ring with it with the purchase of a trophy or a belt. So make sure you guys go over to TrophySmack.com. Use promo code CIRCLE when you guys go over there. And if you purchase a trophy or a championship belt, you'll end up getting a free ring along with that. So TrophySmack.com, use promo code CIRCLE. Make sure either the belt or the trophy, whichever one you purchase, is in the cart with the ring in order for that promo code to count. But you guys can see it right over my corner. This thing is massive. And I can pretty much just, do my bench presses at home now instead of going to the gym. But we do have a question in the chat real quick.
Oh, okay.
We have, it's not really a question. It's more of a pissing contest. We have Toronto Dave coming in saying, Amon-Ra St. Brown over Elijah Moore.
I mean, I'm the Amon-Ra
Elijah Moore over Amon-Ra St. Brown.
But no.
Yeah, that's.
And all I do every week is
I'm going
to
take
here,
more
I get
there.
on my soapbox and I talk good about Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That's falsification of records.
People that listen to us every week know that I've come out with outrageously pro Amon-Ra St. Brown takes. I'm very pro Amon-Ra St. Brown. But no, we're not going to take him over Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore is the more versatile player. He showed the ability to win outside. He has a better draft capital. There's just more systemic risk with Amon-Ra St. Brown than there is with Elijah Moore.
All right, so let's move on to Treylin Burks. And it's not really about Treylin Burks, right? Because they're not going to pass the ball a ton. But, I mean, I want to talk about Robert Woods. Is he dead? Like, are you guys just done with him?
Why is
very alive?
Why is everyone kicking Robert Woods? Robert Woods?
Everybody has been kicking Robert Woods. Like,
Why?
I had a
That's
discussion
what I
the
wanted to
other night, and they're like, oh, Treylin Burks this, Treylin Burks that. I'm like, did you forget about Robert Woods? How he was a fringe wide receiver one, like,
a career
back to back. Yeah, like
Every
he was
year.
always he is Mr.
After getting-
Reliable Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you have him and you're competing, you hold on tight and just take him for the ride. He's going to end his career in Tennessee. Fine, that's great, but he's going to end it on a high note. I don't think he's one of those players that just, walks into the locker room early.
It seems like we all agree, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I'll move on to some of these other players. So, Shane, real quick, I'm just going to hop to you on this question. What would it take you to move on from Robert Woods if you're on a rebuilding-esque team?
Rebuilding-esque?
Yeah.
I mean,
Why do I have Robert Woods on a rebuilding team?
I mean, well, because Robert Woods is
maybe
one
you're
of the
about to rebuild.
hardest.
Who knows?
Robert Woods is
Okay,
one of the
about to
hardest
rebuild.
players to ever trade. At
Yeah,
the
he's
peak
difficult.
of his powers.
It doesn't matter
At
what
the
it is.
Peak of his powers, you'd go, well, I want a first for Robert Woods. Not a 2023 first, mind you. Like 2021, 2022, at the height of his powers. And people are like, well, I'm not paying that for Robert Woods. And you're like, dude, he's a wide receiver one. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't trust it. I'm like, yeah, but his scoring has increased for 7 straight seasons. Like it's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah, but the Rams are going to cut him. I'm like, you've been saying that for 6 years though. And just, you're never going to get, if I can, like Jim Dickey saying, if I can get a second for him, I'm going to do that. I like Woods, love Woods. I love the wood. Give me all the wood. James knows that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God.
But what if like your team is it already hit the apex last year, right? And you're looking to break it down. Would you move him for third?
No, I'm not going to move him.
No, I wouldn't yet. I wouldn't yet because I'd wait till the trade deadline when he's scoring points.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the offseason, nobody wants Robert Woods. Nobody wants to.
Nobody even wants to talk about him.
Because here's the thing, right? Like most teams here's the problem with selling a guy like Woods. Like you can sell in the offseason if you want to blow up your team, you can sell the stud pieces now, right? Because people that are looking to contend, they might want to buy stud pieces now. But you can't sell the secondary guys now. Like this guy's even higher value than Woods. But I had a conversation about David Montgomery's trade market in the Discord the other day, and I'm not a Montgomery guy, just first off. But beside that point, just in terms of like how you manage him if you have him and you no longer want his services, like he's a guy where if you're trying to rebuild or you're not sure of your direction yet, you don't want David Montgomery. Like you're not trading for a year 4 running back on a rebuild. Nobody is. So who wants David Montgomery? Contending teams might want David Montgomery. If you are currently looking at your roster in May and you have a gaping hole that only David Montgomery can fill, you are not a contending team, right? So the issue is nobody right now really needs David Montgomery. That's why his trade value is going to be lower than where he'll go in a startup. What you need to do is just wait for bad things to happen to good people. You just need to wait for some injuries. You need to wait for some players that they have pegged into their slots that they think are going to break out that aren't going to break out. Like I remember last year, there was teams where I would have laughed in the face of someone who would have offered me Robert Woods for a first round pick in the offseason. All of a sudden I have, 4 different wide receivers go down and I'm paying a fucking late 3rd round pick to get Emmanuel Sanders to start on a bye week, so there will be a time for Robert Woods' value. That time just is not today because the only teams that need his services don't see the holes in their roster yet. And they're not going to pay up to fill depth they don't know they need yet. They shouldn't.
All right, so let's go ahead.
But if you're being smart, this is when you start collecting dudes like this. Because if someone's like Chase is just going to disrespect Robert Woods,
you can get him for third. I've been offering
That's
my
actually kind of
thirds.
true. I've been
offering my
thirds
thirds for Jarvis Landry and Robert Woods in every single league. Like a total just sad guy just trying to get some Jarvis. Yeah.
Dude, that's a great point, Shane. Like seriously, that's a phenomenal point. Like go out there and offer your thirds.
I mean, I know I'm not, Jacob level intelligence. Like I can't start.
I never said you weren't.
Economics economists. From
sometimes I just want to cuddle your
1463.
brain.
But I have my moments.
I'm not sure what the dominant theory in economics was in 1463. I think it was it
It's
still
probably
hunting
don't
death?
die. Yeah, I think it was just don't die. Like that was
No.
literally it. They were trading mutton back then. Yeah.
They were
Don't-
trading mutton.
Yeah.
David Montgomery for the late first.
Let's talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown since we were on that train already. I mean, DJ Chark, is he dead? We have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, I know he's obviously not taking
Well, dead may never die.
but like, where are we looking at for
Chark
this
is
whole
too
entire
good.
offense? Like Chark, Hawkinson, all these guys. Like, can we get a
Oh,
quick breakdown from each one of you guys? Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes apiece. Jacob, you get 4 minutes just because I know you're going to break the 3-minute rule.
No.
We'll start out
I'm
with
gonna be
James.
3 minutes.
All right, so I guess I'll take DJ Chark. He got a 3-year deal? So
One.
No, you got-
one guaranteed with
No,
something
just one.
something.
No,
behind it.
just
one.
Just one.
Get some more.
Yeah, it was
Just
a 1 year guarantee.
Straight up
Yeah.
1 year. Nothing after that.
You know he's going to end up going to the Chiefs after this, right?
To
It's a
replace
1-year
TJ.
prove it deal. Then yeah, he would be the guy that's out. I wouldn't be the guy. I would be trying to get rid of him.
Dude,
Right
he
now.
will go to the Chiefs and his value is going to skyrocket. I don't
No,
even
no,
care how
no.
old he is.
No.
Hawkinson. I still have faith in Hawkinson. I think the coach is a tight end coach. He played tight end, if I'm not mistaken, and Hawkinson sticks around. Hawkinson is part of that offense for a long time.
All right. What you got, Jacob? Give me something.
Yeah, so Chark, honestly, like I was trying to sell the shit out of Chark when he first signed there. And then now he's unsellable because the Jameson pick came in. He's going to be the field stretcher. Like you can't get anything for Chark. I've tried to get late thirds for Chark. I can't even get a late third for Chark. So there's no point. May as well just hold and hope that he signs somewhere better next year. Or he has a big game or something, whatever. I don't think he's very good, but sure. You're not going to drop him. TJ Hawkinson, like in shallow
You would
leagues,
drop
honestly,
him?
you could drop.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. In
I
short
don't
bench leagues, like if I'm
How much
looking at
short
like,
bench? Like we talking 18 in Dynasty or like 22 in
no,
Dynasty or
that's a keeper.
25?
That's not even adult.
No,
league.
no,
Stop
no. Like
playing
in a
No, I
10
just-
bench
that's what I'm
league.
asking.
Like
Like
10 bench
27?
home league.
I was thinking somewhere like in that 22 to 25 range. He is
22
definitely
to 25
someone
bench or roster.
roster spots. I'm sorry.
Okay, so about
yeah,
so about
we're
10
not talking
12.
IDP leagues because
I
that's
would
just
not
ridiculous.
drop him in 25 roster. That's crazy.
I'm just saying,
Like
he's someone
my
that-
home league only has 10 bench spots. I think it's 20 roster plus 4 tax or something. And I have Chark sitting there, and I'm like, you might not make it to September, buddy. Like we're gonna. I may grant you your release.
I mean, if you
So,
have
well,
that
Would you
many
trade him for
players,
Fab?
if you have that
Yeah,
many players that are
probably would
better
trade
than
him for
DJ
that.
Shark, yeah, you can make those kind of decisions, or at least try to trade him for a late, like a
I mean,
later.
my
pick.
thing is always with these wide receivers, it's like you need. What's the line at wide receiver where I would just rather have a backup running back? And Chark is like really close to that line. That's he's hovering.
That's what I was gonna
on
say.
that line.
He's on that line. He's the first one that's probably getting cut on my roster when I
Right. Like I'm looking
week
at it. I'm like,
two.
would I rather have DJ
Yeah.
Chark or Samaj P. Ryan? Right. And
Samaj
I'm
P.
looking at
Ryan.
it. I'm like, I think I'd rather have Samaj P. Ryan because he's
Yeah.
one injury away from getting in my lineup. And I don't know when Chark's ever getting in my lineup. But now these people have infringed on my time. And now you're going to say I went overtime and I haven't even started. Like Chark,
Oh my God.
we're dust. We're done. We're done with you, Chark. Get an early third if you can. TJ Hawkinson. No thanks to TJ Hawkinson. Quite honestly, I don't understand his ADP whatsoever. He earns targets at like the same rate as Dalton Schultz. Or historically, now he's got actual competition for targets. We have Amon-Ra coming into year 2. We have Swift still there. We have Jameson Williams. We have Chark, who, like I said, isn't good, but he's certainly better than Khalif Raymond. And so they're going to have a professional offense. I would expect TJ Hawkinson's target rate to go down. It was 22% last year with essentially no competition. I would be surprised if he even hits 20 this year. And so then what are we? Then we're a mid tight end 1. He's being valued up for that because of his youth, because of his long term. I would like to pivot Hawkinson down to Fant plus, to Schultz plus, to Goddard plus, to Zach Ertz plus a lot, to Gronk plus a lot, like any guys who will actually score points this year, similar to Hawkinson. I don't want anything to do with TJ Hawkinson in Dynasty. And then Amon-Ra, I'm buying Amon-Ra. The problem is kind of the same as what I said with Elijah Moore. Like at this point, You know, like his keep trade cut is showing an amalgamation of what everybody thinks, right? That allows the people who hate on Amon-Ra St. Brown every day on Twitter to voice their views. But their views are irrelevant to the price that you're buying Amon-Ra at, because those people don't have him anymore, right? Like anyone who's not a believer who drafted him in the rookie drafts has already sold by now. So the people who have Amon-Ra or believe in Amon-Ra, you're not getting him cheap anymore. You're getting him at, you know, at where the Amon-Ra truthers value him. So
outside of home leagues,
fine buy. I think he's a fine buy. That like, no, but even home leagues, like, I don't know. Like, I guess maybe if people didn't check the app for the last 4 months, but like, I know several people that didn't necessarily, you didn't have to believe in Amon-Ra to draft him last year, but there's plenty of people I know that didn't believe in him last year but still drafted him, don't believe in him now, and have sold him. But like, to me at this point, if you've held to now, if you've acquired by now, you believe in Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'll agree to that. I have a couple shares. I believe. I'm a believer.
I believe for record, I'm a believer.
No way.
I'm a believer. Yeah, he's
all right.
I
Shane,
think he's got the skill set, man.
Do you have any kind of disagreement to what they all said?
What do you want to talk about? Trinity Benson? I think they've got it covered.
No, I
talking
just
about
meant
Swift?
towards anything else.
Why don't you talk about Swift?
Swift. I mean, Swift. He was getting
Goff?
targeted a ton last year, right? But, and I hate using this as the opposite of the vacated target. But who else was there to throw to? So they had to throw him the ball a lot. I don't think they want to run their offense like that, and they told us that because they traded up 40 picks to get Jameson Williams or whatever it was. And they signed DJ Chark prior to that. Like, they were trying to make improvements to the wide receiver room. They said, all right, so Tyrell Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown probably aren't going to cut it. Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown's a very nice piece. Not disparaging him at all, but we need more here. So let's get DJ Chark, so we at least get him. And then they got the draft came and they said, Williams is sitting out there. We need to make this move. Like, that tells you what they want to do with their offense. They want to throw the ball more, at least be more balanced. And they want to throw it to wide receivers. They don't want to throw it 8 times a game to DeAndre Swift. I like Swift. I just worry that I think I saw someone tweeted out maybe earlier, maybe it was Ian Hartitzy. I think he averaged 3.5 yards per carry, something like that.
Oh, he was
3.7. And I know that yards per carry isn't the most advanced metric.
No. Don't worry, he was bad on all the advanced ones too.
Yeah, so and that worries me.
He averaged the
rushing ones,
the most.
Yes.
Oh, rushing, yeah. But when it came to targets, like, he was tied for first.
No. And that's where he was making
every
money.
advanced rushing metric.
They don't want to hand the ball off anyways. And I just want to remind everybody that's watching the show that Antoine Randall flat out said we have no playmakers at wide receiver. We need to get one in the draft. They went out and got one. So we'll move on to Olave and the effect on Michael Thomas.
Goff is a great option if you need a 1-year stopgap QB2.
He's so freaking good because they just want to pass the ball
QB2,
anyways.
that's kind of strong. If you need a strong QB4, he's your man. If you want to live dangerously, QB3, okay. If you just don't like winning, sure, grab him as your QB2 and roll out those 11 points a game.
Shane, would you take Goff?
He's going to score points this year, man.
Wentz.
He's loaded up, dude. He has Amon-Ra,
Would you take Goff or
Hawkinson,
Wentz?
Jameson? I would take
Really?
Goff.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take him or Daniel
Goff.
Jones?
I'm sorry.
Jones. I'm really in on Jones.
Jones.
This year.
Daniel Jones or Goff?
I like Jones this year.
I'll take Jones over Goff, and I dislike Daniel Jones quite a bit, but I'll still take Daniel Jones. Look, I've been trashing Jared Goff before it was cool. Like, I called it his downfall and that he was just a mediocre backup level type quarterback.
God.
And
him or Matt Corral right now?
Goff has a job. Yeah, I mean, at least he has a job. So if I do need 11 points in week 14 during the bye Mageddon, I can throw him out there.
Him or Sam Darnold?
Oh, Goff.
Again, I'll take Goff because Sam Darnold's going to lose that job.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you're saying.
Wait, Shane, I just want to check.
Wait.
Who's
Matt
starting
Corral.
for the Panthers because you said Darnold doesn't have a job and Darnold doesn't have a job.
Well, they were
Matt Corral or Sam Darnold?
I think they might
Shane, Jared Goff or PJ Walker.
PJ Walker.
What about him or Drew Lock? For real. Serious question. Goff or Lock?
Goff.
I'd rather not make decisions like that in life.
I mean, I'm trying to avoid all those kind of scenarios there, but I think Goff would beat out Drew Lock.
Dude, never
I
forget,
love swimming
week
in the shit at
18,
quarterback. Like, I love these
35
guys.
rushing yards.
Like, so
2
to me,
touchdowns.
anyone that I have in this tier, like once you get past Kirk Cousins, who's like last on the list of quarterbacks you actually want and like see a future for in your dynasty team beyond the current year, I want to take like Wentz and Tannehill. I want to trade them down to Goff plus, and then I would like to take like the Lock, Mayfield, Garoppolo, Trubisky, Mariota, any of those guys that have a little bit of value floating around, add a small plus and get to Goff. Or Daniel Jones. Those are the two guys I want to be my QB3 or QB2 everywhere if I'm like really just swimming in the shit pile.
That was my
Jameis too.
process
Toronto Dave says Jameis too. I think Jameis is starting to spike in value though.
I think
People
you said
are a little
Jameis.
excited about Jameis.
All right, so let's move on to a Jameis Winston wide receiver. We have Chris Olave, and he's going there. He should stretch out the field. I mean, like, is Michael Thomas... What are you snoring? Are you snoring for Olave? Are you snoring for...
Yeah, he's so boring.
Where do you see...
Olave. What's
like,
the point?
does he affect Michael Thomas at all? Like, I mean, I'm very curious as to, like, you know, if he has any kind of long-term effect. I mean, Michael Thomas is already up there, so he's not in the Robert Woods range. He's a little bit higher than that. But, I mean, like, what are you doing with Michael Thomas?
Well, what affects Michael Thomas is if he doesn't have functioning legs. I think that's the binary. Like, if Michael Thomas comes out and he plays for the Saints and he's healthy, then I'm really not worried about like what Chris Olave will do to him. If Michael Thomas is not healthy, then it doesn't really matter what Chris Olave would do to him. So to me, like the variable with Michael Thomas is health and desire to play football for the New Orleans Saints. And I think that based on his upside, it's priced in at his cost. I'll probably just keep buying Michael Thomas until he defaults to 0, and I just cut him on all my rosters, and I'm sad. So yeah, I'll still buy Thomas. I don't think the Olave thing matters a whole lot. Like the Thomas is if Thomas is fucked, which he very well might be fucked, it's because his ankles don't work anymore.
Chef, do you have anything to add to that?
I think training camp will tell a lot. I mean, we're in between nothing right now. We have to see the future. We're trying to see the future. I don't think Olave really cuts into Michael Thomas's production. I mean, Winston was successful in stretching the field quite a bit. I think there's room to grow off of that. Yeah, Michael Thomas is okay. It's not like I'm going out and trying to buy him per se, because I don't want that dead stop with Michael Thomas. I would wait until training camp comes around and at least see him on the field, on the practice field. Like you said, his legs have a lot to do with it if you're going out for a pass.
Yeah, I can't say as a Michael Thomas investor, I did not enjoy that video that he posted. He looked like he was playing middle linebacker for a men's beer league.
Hey, at least it was better than the Tree Cohen video.
Cohen,
Shane,
right?
do you? Too soon.
Yeah.
So Shane, are you somebody that is worried about Michael Thomas moving forward? Or are you just rolling?
Shane will never buy an old injured guy ever.
Yeah, like just everything about that is the antithesis of.
Wait, you say they
You
last
sure?
until they're 32? They're not old until they hit 32. That's like
elite
your running
ones.
line.
Michael Thomas was never elite.
Wait, what? This is an insane take.
He was now. Let me. He put up elite
What?
production because he was force fed 300 targets.
Wait,
And
so
good.
our targets no longer
He's
earned,
good.
Shane.
Not in his case, no. In his
Really?
specific
Oh,
case,
interesting.
no.
Interesting.
Slant boy. I've never been a fan of slant boy. So I mean, what? I'm not buying a 29-year-old injured wide receiver. What the fuck am I going to do with that? That's like asking to lose. Like people that make trades like that don't like winning. Like you know what? I would make that if I'm tanking this year. I'd go, you know what? Take my third because this third might outproduce him, but give me Thomas, who can't walk, right? Because then if he can play, I can immediately flip him for a second and everything's okay. But if he's, the Michael Thomas of the last 2 years where his ankles hurt and his feelings hurt and he misses Drew Brees, whatever.
I'm still buying Michael Thomas. But that's a good case.
That was great. That was great. You need to clip that. Oh
If
my
his
God,
ankles
that was
hurt and
great,
his
Shane.
feelings hurt.
Man, my face hurts after listening.
Dude, oh my God. All right.
Awesome.
Let's move
Shane
on
like
from this one.
Shane kills me, man. Like I'm always buying these like injured guys. Like I'm buying MT, I'm buying McCaffrey, I'm buying Barkley, and
At
like
the right price.
I can put up all these. No, pretty much at any fucking price.
You're a hedge better. You're a hedge better. It's okay.
I'll put up these like thoughtful threads about risk and why risk is good. And Shane's just like, you want to take this old injured dude? What a fucking moron. And I feel so dumb. I feel so dumb.
Because look, the theory behind it is similar, and it's not exactly the same, is buying low on a player, right? Where we've talked about this, and I know you'll agree with this. You usually buy low on a player and they continue to be bad because they're bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the trajectory. Yeah. Like, as much as I love Juju, I can recognize the reason that I can buy him low right now is because that he sucked ass, and he's most likely going to continue to do so because that's what happens on players on that trajectory.
All right, so that's a perfect segue, Shane. You didn't even mean to do that, but let's talk about Skye Moore and Juju, and let's try and keep these short because I want to try and pop
worked really well for OBJ and AJ Green. I don't know how it could go wrong this time. Des Bryant too went great with him. I don't see the issue. Julio, all these guys, they turned it around.
Skye Moore, Skye Moore is going to take over, dude.
Right? Well,
I think Skye Moore takes over. He's Patrick Mahomes' new toy.
Well, Skye Moore, Skye Moore, and I heard Cooper Kupp. Wait,
I was trying to give you another guy that was injured earlier in his career that was aging, and I was trying to give you some sort of.
I guess, sure. Okay, so you picked one outlier. Good job.
I know. I was kidding. I was joking. Let's move on to Skye Moore. All right, so Skye Moore, who does he affect? Are we talking? Miko Hardman's dead, right? We've already established that. Sorry, Husker, in the chat. Is like MVS? Did he lose his possible relevance that he might have
never had any relevance?
I'm just saying for those people that believe.
No one should have believed in him anyway. If you believed in MVS, I don't feel bad for you. I can see buying into Juju, right? Juju's the one that I would have been buying into. I don't know. That's obviously him and Skye Moore, very different wide receivers, but. I mean, Skye Moore's he should see a pretty healthy target share there. I'd expect him to be the second target behind Travis Kelce, which is fine. We've seen Juju as the third option in an offense, and that's 10 to 12 points a week.
Yeah, I don't really think he affects anybody because there's just a lot of targets that are available. Like Kelce's obviously going to get his until he can no longer play or walk or do whatever it is that he does. And yeah, I mean, I think these other guys are just limited players. Like MVS is not a guy who demands targets. He's a guy who runs a bunch of 9 routes and he'll have some explosive plays and he'll have some spike weeks. If you play best ball, I know the best ball group chat stuff I'm in are just like so fired up about MVS. I'm not really with them, but I understand the appeal, at least in that format. You don't have to pick and choose when he's going to get a 60-yard touchdown. But that's all he's going to be. He's not claiming targets. And frankly, Juju hasn't claimed targets in a long time. Juju has been like a 20% target share on a low ADOT dude for the last 3 years. He's not very good. Like, I'm really not concerned about Juju Smith-Schuster, who honestly was vastly overrated in 2018, never should have been believed in the way that he was, and he's been vastly overrated for every subsequent year. He will continue to be vastly overrated. We'll see. Skye Moore is a late second-round pick. He might totally suck, but if he's good, I don't think that anything is holding him back because you have a guy who's a limited player, who's a slot yak player, and you have a limited player as a field stretcher. So if Skye's a complete wide receiver, which is a big if, but if he is, then he'll be the only one on that team.
Well,
but as for Dustin's question, or Husker's question, Elijah Moore over Skye Moore because we take boats over boxes in this house.
So I'm very curious as to hear whether, Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster cannibalize each other and which one actually has the higher ADOT this season. We'll start out with James on this one.
I'm going with Kelce.
Has a higher ADOT, and do they cannibalize each other?
No, I don't think they cannibalize each other. I think Travis Kelce has his targets written in stone in the Kansas City offense, and I don't think it changes much now that Juju's there. Definitely didn't change much when they had any other wide receiver there, and that guy was Tyreek Hill. So Kelce still got his targets. No one else is living up to as many shots as Hill did, and I think Kelce is just fine where he is right now.
Is there a chance they just have a bunch of wide receiver threes on the team, Shane?
I mean, it's quite possible. They outside of Tyreek Hill, that's all they've ever had anyway. Lower than that, they're Byron Pringle and Marcus Robinson, and
that's what I'm saying. It's like do they hyper focus on 3 guys, and we see 3 wide receiver team or 3 wide receiver threes.
Okay, so it's an Andy Reid offense, so there's always going to be more spread than you want. And this goes back. That's just been his MO in his entire career. And with a quarterback like Pat Mahomes, who goes off script often. That's why you're going to see guys get targeted that you just make you upset because it's off script and then anything can happen. But I mean, yeah, the vast majority of the targets are going to be Kelsey, Moore, and Juju, and then MVS. And then after that, you're going to have some guys you've never heard of and forgot were on their team. Cornwell, Stevenson,
Mecole Hardman.
Mecole Hardman. Cornwall Jackson. What was that kid's name? We liked that kid last year.
Cornell
Powell. You know, like you're going to have those games. You're going to have those games where you're like, wait, Cornell Powell just had 5 for 106. Should I pick him up off the waivers? And I'll be writing in fantasy data like, look, guys, I don't want to tell you to pick him up. You shouldn't pick him up, but I'm obligated
go and
to
pick him
up because he had 106 yards last week. So I have to say it. Like if I don't, I get kicked out of the waiver wire ad guild.
What I'll love about the Chiefs this year is that playing them in DFS used to be so annoying because Kelsey and Hill were always so expensive. The tertiary options just never had a good enough role that you ever really wanted to click the button on them outside of small field stuff. And it was just hard because you either had to single stack or you would play the running back, which you never wanted to because CH is CH. It was really difficult. But now I love this new setup because Kelsey's going to be Kelsey. He's going to get his. He might even get more, if anything. And then, I would expect this year it's going to be pretty spread. Like I think we're going to see Juju in like a 20% target share closer to the line of scrimmage. We're going to see MVS 15%, probably further downfield. And then we'll see what Skye Moore is. I think he'll probably hover between 15 to 20% in year one because he's a second-round rookie. I don't think he's just going to come out in alpha Juju immediately. But, I think it'll be fun. I think you'll be able to create, think of the Cowboys last year, right, where you had this pretty high-powered offense. But actually, the Bills might be a better example, where, Diggs was always going to get his 25% of targets. Mm-hmm. But then between, Beasley and Sanders and Knox and Gabe Davis, you didn't really know who was going to hit on any given day. So you had a lot of guys with upside. But who that second target was on a given day shifted around a lot. And it makes it very fun for DFS and very frustrating for managed leagues.
So let's bounce on real quick to we're running out of time, so I just kind of want to fly through a few guys.
We're actually over time, so you owe me extra this month.
Yeah, you're right. I owe you extra. So Christian Watson, does he affect anybody in Green Bay?
Who's to be affected?
Yeah, there's literally no one there. You mean Alan Lazard?
Maybe he affects Romeo Dubs.
Ooh, yeah.
I think that might be it.
So nobody.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be pretty vexed at him when he runs the wrong route.
Yeah, he might affect Aaron Rodgers. That's a good
when
point.
He drops a pass that would have been a 60-yard touchdown. I mean, yeah.
What about George Pickens? Does he cancel out Chase Claypool?
Cancel
maybe in the future. I think
next year
he could help
after
that
Claypool's contract.
I think this year he could help Claypool because I think that Claypool is going to play a lot of snaps out of the slot.
So I think
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I think the thing
with
Pickens is Pickens is there, and it's not a 1-for-1 replacement. He's there for letting Deontay Johnson go because they're going to move Claypool to the slot. Like Jacob said, they're smart take, Canadian boy. Because the Steelers are not going to pay what the market rate right now is $23 million is what Deontay Johnson's looking at. The Steelers are not going to pay him that.
Well, I think it's just an interesting, Deontay's never played slot there at a high volume. So, and he's been their best receiver. I don't think he's moving anywhere. I think Deontay is going to play exactly where he's played. And then with Claypool, we saw him in his rookie year a little bit have some success running out of the slot or moving out.
He's a tight end, isn't he?
Yeah, he was even playing. He was playing some snaps almost like an H-back alignment, and he had a lot of success doing that. And you think about what Claypool does best. It's raw athleticism, it's some after the catch work, but it's not really separating, right? And so
it's like Evan Ingram without the drops.
Well, he drops a lot of passes.
Drops a lot.
Actually, no, but if you think of Kenny Golladay early in his career when Kenny Golladay played this big slot role, I could see Claypool having a lot of success in that kind of role. So what I think we see is in 2 wide receiver sets, we'll see Claypool and Johnson to start because they're not going to want a rookie to play multiple positions. They're going to have him learn the X wide receiver position. And I think that in their 3 wide receiver set, we'll see Pickens at X, we'll see Deontay at flanker and Claypool in the slot. And then I think on 2 wide receiver sets, it'll just be Claypool and Deontay Johnson. And I imagine we don't see a whole lot of Calvin Austin or Anthony Miller. But I think it's an interesting pick.
Anthony Miller's still there?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
signed Anthony
sure.
Miller.
I'm just kidding. I know.
Yeah,
And Pickens, I mean, from everything I've read
reunited with
about him,
Mitch Trubisky.
from people that are smarter than me, is like that dude is nothing but an X. Like he can't do anything else. Like not as a
He's
knock.
Brian
Like, that's
Edwards.
what he is.
He ran 3 routes in college, basically. Like
Yeah.
he just
He's
like
Brian
he was
Edwards.
he's not developed.
But in fairness to him, he tore his ACL, so he had a short career.
Right.
So let's go down to Chef. Chef, unless you have anything to add to that, I'd like to ask you about Jahan Dotson over there. And, if Washington could possibly move on from
It's my Jersey guy.
if he could move on
Jahan
from Terry
Dotson.
McLaurin, or if he ends up just becoming a secondary receiver that runs the same routes that Dyami Brown runs right now.
I think Jahan Dotson's a little bit more versatile than Dyami Brown. Dyami Brown, really just a field stretcher in North Carolina. We didn't really see him develop last year either. We're still waiting for that to happen. I'm seeing him. We were talking about people to drop. I've seen Dyami Brown get dropped in a couple of
I
leagues.
dropped him.
Yeah. So
really, but the shower corollary, Jacob. We
I
established.
mean, we
this 2
don't know
episodes
what's
ago.
going on with Curtis Samuel. He's still there. We'll see if
but
he's healthy.
Sam Howell is going to be starting for this team, and now he has his
I
college
just, like,
teammate.
I don't want to
I mean, he's
roster
not
wide
dust,
receivers,
but
I
he's
can't
close
start.
to it.
Like I don't want to roster any wide receivers I can't start. Like it's just I don't. Like I want my bench spots to be backup running backs who can get into the game via injuries and produce for me. I want them to be like random developmental tight ends because they actually do sometimes break out year 4, year 5. Like wide receivers usually do not. And then or quarterbacks. Like I want, the next Trubisky or Mariota, whatever backup. I want like Tyler Huntley on my bench, over a Dyami Brown. So yeah, with these wide receivers, like if these wide receivers aren't firing early, if they aren't showing you anything, if they aren't showing you sort of any ability to earn targets, if they get on the field, if they don't look like they'll get on the field, they're just clogging your roster space. Like you're never going to start them, and they're never going to have enough of a value spike to trade them for anything. They're just interesting enough to keep you from cutting them and adding someone to your roster. Like again, Samaje Perine, fucking Matt Breida is probably the backup of the New York Giants. I'd rather have Matt Breida on my dynasty roster than Dyami Brown.
Would you rather have KJ Hamler or Jahan Dotson?
Well, I'd certainly rather. I thought you were going to say Dyami because I actually have made that decision on 2 cuts where I'm like, which one of these guys am I going to cut? And the
reason why I say that is because I already know you're cutting Dyami. That's why I asked, because KJ Hamler is the similar type player, slot receiver.
Obviously, I'd rather have Jahan than KJ Hamler right now. I mean,
they played the same position in college, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh well, look, if I can have prospect KJ Hamler versus prospect.
But you would have dropped KJ Hamler because he didn't produce in his.
Just drop them both. Cut them both.
But I would drop him today. I would drop KJ today.
You should cut them both. The correct answer is, and none of us want to do this, like Jacob was saying. After one season, you basically know if a wide receiver is going to hit. You basically know.
Oh, come on.
No, you do.
Okay. Statistically, you know from everything that happened during their rookie season whether they're going to progress. You don't know that if they're going to be elite a lot of times. You do know if they're going to have a baseline, though.
Up until this past 4 years, we were waiting for wide receiver 3 or third year.
If we were, we were.
You were just degrading
so,
Juju Smith-Schuster, but yet he flashed 1 year and then has done nothing since.
But he's fun on TikTok.
But Juju, okay, there's a difference between there's a difference between a breakout is in like really good and as in like this is a guy that should be rostered, right? Like there's a big difference here. Juju Smith-Schuster obviously should be rostered. He's probably still a flex player, and he might be a wide receiver too. Like even since his disappointment, he had a very useful fantasy season in 2020. It wasn't what people wanted or dreamed of, but like it was a guy that was in your lineup. It was fine. You're playing him. But no, Shane's right. Like these guys, yeah, year 3 breakouts happen, but like what a year 3 breakout looks like is, a guy shows some things. Like, Jerry Jeudy hasn't broken out yet. I think Jerry Jeudy is overrated because he hasn't done anything yet. Obviously, he should be freaking rostered. Like, obviously, right? Like, so he might have a 3rd-year breakout, as in, like, this is a guy who's going to be a cornerstone piece. But, like, Dyami Brown has done nothing. KJ Hamler has done nothing. I loved KJ Hamler as a prospect. Like, loved as a prospect. I like Dyami Brown as a prospect. KJ, like, had his entire 2nd year wiped out by injury. So I would say I'm
with a bad
mildly more intrigued than a KJ Hamler than I would be in some other guys that he's getting rust. So like if I can keep KJ Hamler on my roster, I would like to. But if I have to drop him, I'm not really losing any sleep over it, to be quite honest with you. Again, I'd rather have Samaje Perine. Like, I'd rather have these guys. You asked me if I'd rather have Hamler than Dotson. I mean, obviously, I'd rather have Dotson. Dotson's a first-round rookie pick.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move. After we said, hey, let's just briefly talk about.
I've drafted 4 Jahan Dotsons, by the way,
that's
Chase.
it.
Can you
That's
believe
it,
this?
bro.
Can you believe this?
It's 10-10.
Like,
James.
I've drafted 4 of that fucking senior declares ass. 4.
Shane, you can
Like,
leave if you want, man. You can do your sign off.
Oh,
if you
that,
like.
that was uncalled for right there.
I mean,
You
you're just saying
understand.
you're trying to end the episode, and we have people waiting for our answers. We have more viewers right now than we had at the
question?
beginning of the show.
Where's the question?
No, we just have more viewers. So the next question is going to be James Cook. Is he going to take over Devin
Yes.
Singletary's job?
Yes, he's
Probably.
just ethered Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
But guess what? The Bills have told you repeatedly, we don't like Devin Singletary. They tried Zachariah
crazy.
Moss. They took Zachariah Moss, who's just a trash can, who couldn't take the job. They tried to sign J.D. McKissick, and then J.D. McKissick got cold feet and went back to Washington. Like,
They told Travis Etienne they were drafting him, and then
Yeah.
Jacksonville went first.
yeah, short of actually cutting Devin Singletary, which would make absolutely no fiscal sense or football sense. They've shown you that they're not particularly fond of him. It's like that girlfriend that they're just like waiting. You know, like they got one foot in, one foot out. Like they're in a relationship, but they're definitely looking. That's been the whole relationship with Devin Singletary.
But what are the chances they're just bad at, drafting running backs? They're bad at acquiring running backs. Like, that could be a possibility that James Cook isn't even good because they're not good at evaluating them.
Well, I think that's a probability, but the issue is like what made Devin Singletary valuable at the end of the year is that he got all of the freaking touches and he got all the pass catching work because Buffalo doesn't run the ball anyways. So like, even if Devin Singletary remains the primary early down rusher, the primary early down rusher for the Buffalo Bills is a meaningless job. Like, you're not getting anything out of that. The one thing they've made very clear with who they've tried to acquire, like recently, like they looked at ETN in the draft last year. They actually somewhat signed JD McKissick. It's been reported by multiple sources. They tried to trade for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Like they want someone at the very least to be the pass catcher. And James Cook, I don't know if he's a good running back, but I know he's a good pass catcher. He will be the pass catcher. And so now it's either Cook is valuable or neither of them are valuable as far as I see it.
Well, right now, I mean, Singletary's like being undervalued to an extent if he does have the first and second down work. So, James, if you had Singletary, what would you be looking to acquire for him if you had him on your roster and you're trying to move him?
I don't think it's the right time to move him right now. He took some kind of a hit to his value when they drafted James Cook. Like, I'm not going to just give him away. I'd have to wait to see what happens to break into the future. Like, let's say he needs to score some touchdowns, needs to gain a little bit more value before I can get rid of him right now. Otherwise, you're getting rid of him from. I think I'd be happy with a 3rd round pick, to be honest.
Well, let's say this: between the 3 running backs who got cucked with round 2 replacements, how would you rate them between Devin Singletary, Michael Carter, and Rashad Penny?
Wait. What about
who would I want?
Didn't Rashad White
it would be
somewhat?
Penny.
Well, White went round 3. Very different.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
And Fournette is certainly not a backup. this
Yeah,
year.
he's not
That's
getting cucked right now.
So-
No, you're right.
Penny,
Penny the most.
then Singletary, and then Carter.
Okay.
I wasn't listening. What was the question?
I asked your how you rank the 3 cucked running backs. I would go Carter most. I'd want the most, then Singletary, and then Penny, just because he's the oldest.
Singletary, Carter, and then Penny.
So why did I say I want Carter the most? I want Singletary more than Carter.
Yeah, I don't know what the Bills don't see in Devin Singletary. I need that out there. Like, Devin Singletary is definitely the girl that you date that you think is smoking hot, and all your friends are like, "Dude, she's not," and you're like, "I don't understand what you guys don't see."
Well, he's bad. He's not a good pass catcher. He's not a good pass.
He was
catcher.
fine in catching the ball. Like,
No, he was
this
the
year.
least. He was the least efficient. He had like a 0.9 yards per route run. He had the lowest yards per route run of any running back over his route threshold. He's not effective in the passing game. He's a very good rusher. I actually think that's why I'm not in on either of these guys right now, because I think that Cook is going to outclass him in the passing game. I think that Singletary is clearly a better rusher of the football than James Cook. And I think that Singletary is going to get the rushing work and Cook's going to get the passing work, and neither of these guys are going to be very startable.
The problem is,
I did some DFS research in season because, I study pass catching running backs, right? So, like, that's like my thing. Like, I study pass catching running backs, and I don't have the information in front of me right now because I'm redesigning all my spreadsheets. But Devin Singletary got the ball in the receiving game when they only had like 3rd and like 3s, or they were at the goal line. So he didn't have an opportunity to provide that because they were either second in the box.
Well,
or
he
they
was
were
running
playing over
routes
the top.
otherwise, but he wasn't getting the targets, and he wasn't doing anything with the targets.
Well, yes. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't doing anything with the targets because they didn't need to do anything with the targets. Like, they just needed a 3rd down. So he was efficient for NFL purposes, but not efficient for fantasy purposes. And I get that, but that doesn't mean that Devin Singletary can't do it in the future because, I mean, they just didn't utilize him that way.
He's running the routes. He wasn't doing anything with the routes.
So
Yeah,
maybe it
but
is
we
the
run
time
routes
to
on
maybe it is the time to acquire Singletary. Is that what you're saying, Chase? You get him now on the low. He has 1 year left on his contract. They probably don't re-sign him. They probably bring in another young running back to go along with James Cook that can run between the tackles and not have to worry about pass catching. And Singletary's value might go up if he goes to another team.
I would wait until after
Long story.
halfway through the season because I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum from you, James. Like, I feel like they would end up like he would lose value throughout the season because he would not play the 3rd downs. He would end up losing work because they literally every single play that they did a rollout with Josh Allen to the right, you would have a running back go to the left. So that way they just pulled linebackers off the side. So if he needed to run, he could run and get the 1st down. So I would actually look to acquire him halfway through the season when you lose third down passing work, but I wouldn't make a move for him right now. Let's go into Rashad White real quick because I do want to cover Rashad White. Shane, do you want just get your sign off done?
No, I'm not sticking it out. I'm a fucking trooper. I just need to put it out there. This
You're
is an
like
hour-long
every
show.
dad who's like, yeah, I'll do the yard work, honey. No worries, I'll do it.
I got it.
It's like
Take
we're
the
having
trash
a great
out.
conversation right now. Like,
Take
this
out
is
the
one of
trash.
best podcasts
If the wife will be
we've
like,
had.
you don't have to do it. I said I'll do it in the morning. Nope, I'm doing it now.
This is one of the most insightful and interactive work that we've had.
You're like forcing
You're like,
yourself to be a martyr for no purpose. Like,
your wife will take it out. It's fine. I have to sleep on the couch.
I said I'll hire the painters. No.
I totally heard myself in one of those or 2 of those, maybe all of those. That he just said.
No, that's exactly it. That's every married person said. Like, they've had that conversation. No, it's fine. No. I'll go pick up your mom from the airport.
Right, I'm going to mow
I
the
said
lawn
it's
in
fine.
the dark.
Yeah, but you seem upset. I said it's fine. Did I say I'm upset? I'm not upset.
Oh, Jacob grew up in an abusive household. It's fun.
All right,
Love you,
so
Mom and
Rashad
Dad. I know
White.
you're watching.
Shane, let's start with you with Rashad White. Is Rashad White even on the fantasy radar for you? Would you rather move on for him, or is some of this you're looking to acquire?
When did we?
I'm sorry. Like, when it comes, I didn't move on. I meant pass on for the draft. Excuse me. Pass on for the draft. Does he take any work away from Leonard Fournette? Fournette's on a 2-year contract. He has a second year that's cuttable, but it's not the cheapest contract, I believe. I think it's right around, like, they save a couple $1 million, something. You know, is Leonard Fournette somebody that you want to acquire, or is Rashad White just another version of Keyshawn Vaughn?
So it's easy to make that parallel since he got drafted to the Bucs, right? But I've been drafting Rashad White, and I'm completely comfortable with drafting him at 201. I mean, I'll take a 3rd round running back over a 3rd round wide receiver every day of the week. And in a lot of cases, I'll take him over mine and James' friend, Wandale, unless I'm feeling real spicy, you know what I mean? And then I'll go Wandale. But no, I like him at 201. It's fine. Look, he's got decent draft capital, right? He's got day 2 draft capital for a running back. I don't care about Leonard Fournette's contract because if the NFL has shown us anything, contracts are absolutely just myths. Like, they mean nothing because how many times does Adam Schefter go, no, wait, guys, guess what? I forgot. There was this out in the contract that no one knew about. So now they can cut him and there's no dead cap. And you're like, I'm pretty sure none of this is real.
That's why they don't follow the concussion protocol, because they make sure the players are unable to comprehend, like, so that they just rewrite the contract while they're in the while they're getting
Jacob.
Remember,
messed up, dude.
Okay, the NFL's messed up. This is what I'm saying. Leonard Fournette's going to be out there. They're tending to his concussion, and in the meantime, they're writing his contract to see how they can get rid of this fucking dude. I believe it. Do you see the article about the freaking?
I think he sticks around.
We're working 136 out of 140 hours. Don't ask me when the meeting ends. It's better if I don't tell you. Like, Yeah, the NFL's psychotic.
Look, the
I mean,
NFL
this is Leonard Fournette's year. All right. He's tied to Brady for one more season. He showed us what he could do last year. If anything, Rashad White might help him and for a little bit more longevity. And I think Rashad White does make somewhat of an impact. And if they want to move on from Leonard Fournette next year, and Rashad White pays off, then yeah. Otherwise, they wasted a 3rd-round pick. Yeah, just like they did with Keyshawn Vaughn. So they can't get worse than what they already did.
Round?
Yeah, I think my favorite take is that I've seen simultaneously some people are like, "Why are you getting upset about Rashad White? He's just Keyshawn Vaughn." And then some people are like, "You think Rashad White's the backup? Keyshawn Vaughn's still there." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh no. That person doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. No, I like Rashad White a lot. I liked him as a prospect. I don't know where you were on him, Chef, or even Chase. Really, I know Shane didn't like him because he's a hater and a loser. But
I have my pre-draft.
I liked him a lot.
But I love Rashad White pre-draft. Caught a million balls.
I had him at running back 3.
Oh, that's I had him a running back.
I had him a running back 3 pre-draft.
Walker. So, I love Rashad White pre-draft. He's definitely my RB3 now. I would take him over James Cook in rookie drafts.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because Rashad White actually has the 3-down profile, right? Like he has the size, he has the speed, he has the ability to hold up over a workload, he has the pass catching ability. So yeah, I don't think it happens this year without an injury, but Leonard Fournette's never made it through a season healthy. I wouldn't expect a 27-year-old Leonard Fournette to not turn an ankle at some point. And this is one of those spots like Dallas or Arizona or Minnesota or whatever, where if the guy goes down, there's a ton of fantasy points available. Keyshawn Vaughn had 14.4 fantasy points in that playoff game against the Eagles, and Gio scored a touchdown that he stole from him, and Keyshawn Vaughn averaged like 2 yards a carry. Like there are fantasy points aplenty in this offense. We saw Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette finished over a point under expected last year on fantasy points, and still finishes like the RB3 in points per game. Yeah, he was a minus. He was fantasy points under expectation last year, and was a top 5 running back because this backfield just gives you points. So I do think I agree with Chef. I think this is Lenny's year for as long as he remains reliable enough that's who Brady wants, getting the high value touches. Oh yeah, but White is an elite handcuff this year, and definitely has some value beyond.
All right, so David Bell. I know Jacob's super high on him, and actually, I was sitting there, I was re-listening to the show. Last week, and just to make sure everything was right. And Jacob, as I was listening to the show, David Bell came up and I drafted David Bell in one of my rookie drafts, just because you talked me into it at the time. And then it came out later that they want to get David Bell the usage necessary. I mean, we've already talked about how, Don Peoples-Jones falling off
season, huh? Just anything. Huh? Dalvin Cook was split out wide today. He was just running wide receiver routes.
Wait, what?
Every year, some running backs running wide receiver routes. That's checking off the bingo card.
Chase is going to be on here next week telling us
spread offense.
Cook's going to be a wide receiver.
They're doing spread offense.
I think he's just jealous of his brother.
Headlines.
My favorite thing about the David Bell quote. No. Shane's just taking it off in a tangent because he's too tired to do the actual show, but he'll still waste a minute of time talking about something else.
Oh, Shane, you're getting shots fired.
I mean, I'll take half the blame for that one, Shane.
No, you don't get any blame.
And added to it.
Chef.
I threw a log on.
No, I'm just saying, no. So I was talking about our show, by the way.
These guys.
I was saying that Jacob talked me into it last week because we talked about the rookie rankings and how he should see a decent amount of targets. It was at the tail end of like this second round, I believe, and I was like, you know what, I'll take a shot on him. I didn't like him before.
Must be nice.
I mean, I would never take him in the first round like you were talking about last week, but
no, I wouldn't take him in the first, but I would take him.
You had him at the tail end of the first and early second.
Yeah, I've seen him go in the late one. I haven't taken him in the late one, but I've seen others do it. The funniest part about the quote is they said we were getting David Bell no matter what, and he was the third round pick the Browns made. So you weren't that committed to getting David Bell no matter what. He's not exactly Vontae Mack, but
I saw that quote. That's funny.
I love I like David Bell a lot. He profiles really well the history of these players with elite production that go even in round 3, especially when they've dropped due to a lack of athleticism. Like we're getting into the Keenan Allen, Jarvis Landry, Cooper Kupp, this type of comp. And we love it. Yeah, I think that David Bell beats Michael Thomas. I think Shane Manila beats Michael Thomas in a race right now.
With a cigarette in my mouth.
So, I mean, there comes a point, right, where it's like, if David Bell ran a 4.6 instead of a 4.72, he's still not outrunning anybody. So, like, what's the point, right? That's not how he wins, obviously. So, like, at a certain point, it's just like you're not beating anyone with athleticism. So it doesn't really matter how much less athletic you are, right? Like, that's why Keenan Allen's still going to be putting up 100 catches at age 38. Because, like, once you've lost the ability to have an athletic edge over anyone, then you just have to find other ways to win. Either you can or you can't. And David Bell has been beating more athletic players his entire career. I don't think it's impossible that he continues to do that. I think he's limited. I think he'll mostly play the slot, but there's a wide open slot role there for him. It's going to be Cooper on one side, or it's going to be their wind sprinter du jour between Peoples-Jones and Schwartz on the other side. And I'm sure that David Bell is going to take over that slot role, and we'll see. I mean, it'll be a really interesting year, but I think he has an opportunity to produce right away.
Does he take work away from anybody, targets away from anybody?
Not really, because nobody else there has ever earned enough targets to the point where they would be taken away. Like DPJ.
The tight ends see more targets.
I think that there's no one here that should be projected to have a very high target share. Like, Amari Cooper's been a low 20s target share guy for most of his career. He was even below that last year. David Njoku has been all over the place with his target rate, but I certainly wouldn't project more than 20% for Njoku. Peoples-Jones and Schwartz have both been, total wind sprinters. So I don't know. I think that Bell will get as many targets as he wants without drastically hurting the projections of others.
James, does anybody see over 60 targets outside of Amari Cooper?
Oh, yeah. Over 60? Yeah.
Over 60?
Honest, I don't think anybody had it last year. Pretty sure.
Yeah, but they have there's going to be, I think, I would give 4 players.
I asked Shane. I mean, I asked James. Okay, come on, James.
4 players? James. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if he gets over 60 targets. I think what they want to do is they want to work in the tight end. They lined up Njoku there. I think they want some bigger bodies. He's 6'2", 205. He could push people around a little bit. He didn't really have too much burst if we're still talking about David Bell. Like, he takes some time just to warm up and get up to playing speed. He's a bigger guy, basketball player in high school. He needs to leap, just like Njoku leaps. I think they brought him in to be a red zone type receiver that so Amari Cooper doesn't have to do the dirty work. David Bell can. So does he get 60 targets? Maybe not. Maybe it's more around the 50 range, but I think they will be more valuable targets, especially in his rookie season. So I think they use his big body, tracking the ball into the back of the end zone, just throw up a prayer, another big target for Deshaun Watson. That's it.
Yeah, so I just checked it over the past 2 seasons. Only one receiver has gotten over 70 targets in this offense because they like to spread out so much and obviously run the ball. So Shane, does any receiver in this offense see over 70 targets outside of Amari Cooper, who might not even see 100?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go David Bell is going to. Yeah. I have no reason to believe that David Bell's not going to get peppered with targets. I think he's going to be basically, I don't know that he's Keenan Allen because Keenan Allen's a special player. But Jarvis Landry could see 140 targets in the Miami offense. There's absolutely no reason that David Bell can't see 80 to 90 to 100 targets. Deshaun Watson's there now. That's not Baker Mayfield.
That's what I was about to ask you next.
We keep assuming that they're going to continue in their old look. They just paid $240 million and their reputation on a possible serial rapist. They're going to use him on the football field. They're going to throw the ball. It's a very limited target tree because Anthony Schwartz is not good. DPJ, despite your best efforts, is not actually good. Njoku, who I've loved, is one of the most athletic tight ends there isn't particularly good. So
he's hurt all the time.
He's got other issues too, but no, I could definitely see Bell seeing a pretty significant target share. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, I could see Bell literally.
We saw Waddle get over 100 targets last year,
right? Yeah.
So I agree. There's always a chance. Is it likely with Amari Cooper there? No. As much as the
like,
Cleveland Browns are a run-first offense,
I don't think
and
they
that's
are
the
anymore.
That's the Stefanski way, and that's how it's going to be. They're going to have tight ends, big blockers. They can stretch the field with Amari Cooper, and then they run the ball with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
I'll just disagree fully with Chef. I think they're a pass first offense with Deshaun Watson.
Does this change? So this last question, by the way, we're going to get out of here after this. Does this change if Deshaun Watson sees, let's say, north of 10 games of suspension? I don't think he does if he sees 8. But does this change for Bell if Deshaun Watson sees 10 games or more?
Yeah.
Suspension?
I mean, I think that they're going to not throw the ball a lot with Jacoby Brissett. I think when Deshaun plays, we'll see. I'm more on Shane's side. I think I don't think he's gonna be suspended for 2 years. I think that when Deshaun Watson plays, I think they will throw the ball quite a bit. But certainly we haven't seen it yet. So Chef could definitely be right there. I think that if Deshaun Watson plays the majority of the year, I think that Bell's seeing 100 targets. I think that's likely because I don't understand. We're going to get, if we're doing the projections, right? How many pass attempts are we putting them at per game? Like minimum 30, even if they don't throw it a lot, we're putting them at 30. That gets them over 500 pass attempts. Give Cooper his allotted, 22% target share or whatever. That gets him to 120. There's still 380 left. They don't really throw to running backs that much in this scheme. Like we just mentioned, Njoku, DPJ, whatever. I think that Bell's going to be the starting slot receiver from week 1. I think he sees 20% of the targets. I think he sees 100 targets this year.
All right. So do you guys have anything else to add? Or are you ready to get out of here? Let's go on to one more player. I'm just kidding, Shane. So Shane on this. Next week, we're going to be diving into 3rd and 4th round rookie picks. Shane is actually
my favorite topic.
It is. We might do something like that throughout the year. But let's go ahead and get out of here. Shane, you have to unmute yourself. Let us know where to find you.
Make sure you check me out on Dynasty Trades HQ, Dynasty Trades HQ patron. It's where you find me most times, and Dynasty Trades in 5 on the YouTubes. Make sure you subscribe to us on the TikToks and the Instagrams. As soon as we get to 1,000 followers in either of those, all 3 of us are going to do the backpack dance. Apparently, that's what the challenge I put out there. I don't know if Scott dance. I don't know.
I don't even know if I want to know what the backpack.
Wait, can you do it real quick?
No, not unless you subscribe to Instagram or TikTok. Writing at DLF dropped an article this week. FantasyData.com dropped an article last week, and here, Manic and Chill dropped a couple episodes this month too. So pretty much anywhere. Just check my my thing with all the hyperlinks. That's where I'm at.
Do you have a link tree, Shane? Is that what it is?
I don't, because I could never quite figure it out. How to fuck this. This is annoying me.
What?
I couldn't make the smart tags correctly, so I was like, "This is just bullshit. Fuck it. I'll just do them individually."
Oh my god! All right, Jacob, where can we find you, man?
Well, I can't top that. That's for sure. That was just A+ entertainment. But you can find me on Twitter at F_RTGB. You can find me in the Bulletproof Discord on my channel there. You can find me on Tuesdays on the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast with Tom and Billy. I've been doing that podcast for 2 years. I forgot what it was fucking called. Anyway, and you'll be able to find this Saturday. We'll be doing the first one, and I'm sure Chase will end up. He doesn't even know about this yet, but I'm sure he'll end up stopping by at some point. But I'm debuting our new show on the Full Tilt Network called Cash Considerations, which will be the new launch of my best ball and DFS content over on the Full Tilt Network. And so I'll be talking with Tom. We'll be getting some best ball stuff up and running because, of course, we were able to lock in that Underdog sponsorship over there. So we're super excited. You can use promo code Full Tilt if you want to sign up, and definitely come and join us on Saturday. Goodbye, Shane.
James, wait, did he just leave?
Yeah,
He did. He said, "Gotta bounce. The kids called me. Love you. Bye."
Hey, Sometimes you just gotta go.
He had a girl in his apartment. He had a Tinder date.
Oh,
I saw him looking over earlier in
Wait,
the episode.
he had a
and
Tinder
gave
date
him
and he did a show with us.
That's why he wanted so bad to get off. I think he had like a Netflix and chill type thing going on.
Imagine being on Tinder and being like, "Hey,
I wonder if he still has his computer open.
Like, imagine if you like come over at 7, we'll have dinner. Then I have to record a podcast about fantasy football for an hour to an hour and a half, and then we'll get back to our activities. Please make yourself known."
He did this like head nod at like 9:30ish, 9:45 when he started putting pressure on us to end the show. And it's 10:30 now. There's no way his kid was waiting silently for 45 minutes. He's been telling his date. I don't think it's a Tinder date now, but he's been telling his date to hold up for the past 45 minutes. Because he thought it was just going to be him and I. Like, we already talked pre-show. And he's like, "Oh, dude, like, I was going to see if you wanted me to grab somebody else." And I was like, "No, let's just have a short show." So he probably invited a girl over. Oh, my God. This is amazing.
Good for him. Good for him.
I hope that I'm very curious to follow up on that lead.
We're going to talk about it next week.
We're going to fly down to Philly right now.
Oh, my God.
I could drive to Philly. It's like 50 minutes away from me.
Dude.
Oh, dude.
I'll give you
So anytime you want to meet up in Philly, let me know. Grab a beer in Philly.
They did a couple weeks ago with a bunch of people. So, James, thank you for joining the show last minute, man. We really appreciate you. You didn't even know what the show was going to be about. And you killed it.
I'm used to no show sheet, like kind of just Russian roulette or death by trial sometimes. Brings out the best chemistry, actually, sometimes. You can find me on Twitter at @FF_chef. Part of the Dynasty Happy Hour crew over there. Check out at Dynasty Happy HH Pod on Twitter, YouTube, Dynasty Happy Hour. Also, coming off the edge Tuesday nights, hang out with the buds, just talk anything and everything. 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, and regular season, in season rather. The Tilt is Real, Sunday Tilt. I'm looking forward to that redraft.
Dude, I missed you guys over there at the Tilt is Real. You guys are awesome. It's kind of funny because I brought in Full Tilt and I had the Tilt is Real, and I confused you guys for so long. I'm happy that both y'all
are.
To
be fair, I host one of them and I forgot the name today, so your confusion certainly isn't as embarrassing as mine.
It's always my first pod, so I always remember the first one. Like I've done so many other shows, and that one's near and dear to my heart.
It's really funny because there's somebody in a different group chat that we had, and they were like arguing about this other company that was part of the Washington football team, whatever. And they had a similar name, but it wasn't even that close. It was like Commanders Bunker versus Battle with the Commanders or something stupid like that. And I was like, they were like sitting there and they were arguing about they were messaging a podcast about changing their name that they didn't even know. And I'm like, dude, I used to have the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast and the Tilt is Real in the same group, and everybody got along great. Like, don't even worry about it, man. It's cool.
Yeah, we would even go on each other's shows. Like, I've been on your show for the draft, and
absolutely,
we've both been on this show. Yeah.
We
we all just get along
over the name Tilt.
Yeah, like we didn't even have an argument. We were just like, we're related somehow. You're like, my Canadian cousin somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
Anyways, I appreciate you guys for joining us. Thank you, James, for being a guest. Thank you, Jacob, for coming in while you're sick. I appreciate everybody for joining the podcast. Excuse me. I appreciate everybody for joining the podcast and for listening in, or the live show, I should say. It's been a pleasure, being a part of this and doing stuff and seeing people in the off season. So make sure y'all join us next week, Wednesday at 9 Eastern time. We'll be doing this for forever, possibly. Who even knows what's going to happen? I mean, Jacob's going to be here every single week during the summer. He already signed a contract saying he was going to. So I cannot wait for the summer to hit. And we're going to keep having hard-hitting information coming to y'all. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you all for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life. We're out.